Atlantic Ocean, vast, unforgiving, a graveyard for many, but for others, it was a stage where men like Black Skull and Admiral Jones played out their deadly game. Their rivalry was a legend whispered on the salty winds. It was a clash of ambition, duty, and sheer will. The fate of nations hung in the balance. Trade routes vital for survival were at stake. Control of the Atlantic meant power. Power over commerce, power over destinies. And both Black Skull and Admiral Jones were determined to seize it. Their ships were but extensions of their wills. Their crews, mere pawns in their grand game. The stage was set. The players were ready. The Atlantic had become a theater of war. From the depths of infamy rose Black Skull, a pirate, a raider, a force of nature. His name struck fear into the hearts of seasoned sailors. His black sails, adorned with a skull and crossbones, were a harbinger of doom. Little was known about his past. Some whispered of a betrayed naval officer seeking revenge. Others spoke of a ruthless opportunist, driven by greed. But one thing was certain: Black Skull was a master tactician. He commanded a fleet of heavily armed vessels. His crews were composed of cutthroats and mercenaries, loyal only to his coin. Black Skull's ambition knew no bounds. He yearned to control the Atlantic, to hold the lifeblood of nations hostage. He would rule through fear, his name synonymous with terror. The seas would tremble before the might of Black Skull. Admiral Jones was a relic of a bygone era. A veteran of countless battles, his name echoed through the halls of the Old Navy. Now retired, he enjoyed a life of quiet contemplation. Yet the call of duty still resonated within him. When news of Black Skull's depredations reached him, Admiral Jones knew he could not stand idle. The seas he had sworn to protect were under threat. His sense of duty, his unwavering moral compass, compelled him to act. He was a strategist, a master of naval warfare. His experience was his greatest weapon. His loyalty lay with the crown, with the innocent, with the very soul of the sea. He would be their shield, their protector. Black Skull would learn that some lines should not be crossed. Section 4, Clash of the Titans, the Battle of Serpent's Moor. The air crackled with tension. The sun beat down on the choppy waters of Serpent's Moor, a treacherous strait known for its unpredictable currents. It was here that fate brought Black Skull and Admiral Jones face to face. Cannon fire roared, the stench of gunpowder filled the air, splintered wood and shredded sails danced on the waves. The screams of the dying were swallowed by the roar of the sea. Black Skull, aboard his flagship the Sea Serpent, fought with ferocious intensity. His cannons thundered, his men fought like demons. Admiral Jones, commanding from the deck of the Indomitable, met the challenge head-on. His tactics, honed over decades of service, were put to the ultimate test. His crew, inspired by their legendary leader, fought with the courage of lions. Section 5, Aftermath and Legacy, the Ripples of Conflict. The Battle of Serpent's Moor raged for hours. The sea ran red with the blood of fallen men. When the smoke finally cleared, both fleets were decimated. Victory, a Pyrrhic one, belonged to Admiral Jones. The Sea Serpent lay in ruins. Black Skull himself nowhere to be found. The threat to the Atlantic was quelled for now. But the memory of that clash lingered. The legend of Black Skull, though diminished, continued to haunt the seas. Admiral Jones, hailed as a hero, knew that the fight was far from over. The rivalry between these two titans had left an indelible mark on the Atlantic. It had shifted the balance of power, sowed the seeds of future conflicts. The seas once again were a breeding ground for uncertainty and fear. Section 6, Conclusion and Uncertain Future. The waves crashed against the shore, their rhythm eternal. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the water. The Atlantic, vast and unforgiving, remained a battleground. The conflict between Black Skull and Admiral Jones was but a chapter in the ongoing saga of ambition and resistance. The echoes of their clash would continue to reverberate through the ages. Would a new Black Skull rise from the ashes, eager to claim dominion over the seas? Would another champion emerge to stand against the forces of darkness? The future of the Atlantic, like the sea itself, remained a mystery. It was a vast expanse of possibilities, both promising and perilous. The Caribbean trembled. Blackbeard was loose. His name struck fear into the hearts of sailors and merchants alike. The mere mention of his presence could send shivers down the spine of even the bravest seafarers. The seas were his domain, and he ruled them with an iron fist. Peter Thorne, once a privateer, now a legend. His transformation from a sanctioned privateer to a notorious pirate was the stuff of legends. He was a man who had tasted both sides of the law and chose the path of infamy. His exploits were recounted in hushed tones across the Caribbean. They called him Blackbeard for his thick, dark mane. Said to hold lit fuses during battle, this terrifying visage was designed to strike fear into his enemies, making him appear as a demon emerging from the depths of the sea. His appearance alone was enough to make foes surrender without a fight. Fear preceded him, whispers of his ruthlessness echoing through taverns and merchant vessels. Stories of his cruelty and cunning spread like wildfire, ensuring that his reputation reached every corner of the Caribbean. No one was safe from his wrath, and everyone knew it. Blackbeard yearned for more than plunder. He craved dominion. His ambitions went beyond mere riches. He sought to carve out an empire where he would reign supreme. His vision was grand, and his determination unwavering. The Caribbean, a chaotic tapestry of islands and trade routes, was ripe for the taking. Each island, each port, represented an opportunity for conquest and control. The bustling trade routes were veins of gold, waiting to be tapped by a master of the seas. He envisioned a pirate empire, feared and respected, stretching from the Spanish Main to the Florida Keys. His fleet would be unmatched, a force that no navy could withstand. The very sight of his ships on the horizon would be enough to make enemies flee. His rule would be absolute. No dissent would be tolerated, and loyalty would be rewarded with riches beyond imagination. His crew knew that following Blackbeard meant a life of adventure and wealth, but also a life of peril. His flagship, the Queen Anne's Revenge, was a fearsome sight. This massive vessel was the crown jewel of his fleet, equipped with the firepower to decimate any opponent. It was a floating fortress, a symbol of his might. 40 cannons spoke with thunderous roars. Each shot was a declaration of his dominance, a reminder that Blackbeard was a force to be reckoned with. The sound of cannon fire was music to his ears, a symphony of power. Her black sails, stitched with images of skulls and crossbones, billowed like the wings of death. These sails were a warning to all who saw them: surrender or face annihilation. They were the harbingers of doom, casting a shadow over the seas. Blackbeard commanded loyalty, his crew a motley but deadly band bound by greed and the promise of unimaginable riches. Each member of his crew was handpicked for their skills and ruthlessness. Together they formed a brotherhood of terror, united under the banner of the most feared pirate of all time. Across the ocean, whispers of Blackbeard's growing power reached London. Alarms were raised. The once bustling ports of London were now filled with anxious murmurs and worried glances. The tales of Blackbeard's ruthless conquests spread like wildfire, causing a wave of fear and uncertainty. Merchant ships returned with tales of plundered cargo and slaughtered crews. The sailors with haunted eyes recounted their harrowing encounters with the infamous pirate. Their stories painted a grim picture of the terror that Blackbeard had unleashed upon the seas. The Crown, fearing the disruption of trade and the erosion of its authority, knew decisive action was needed. The royal court was in turmoil, with officials debating the best course of action. The stakes were high, and the pressure to act swiftly was immense. Admiral Thomas, a veteran of countless naval battles, received an urgent summons. His reputation as a formidable leader and strategist made him the ideal candidate for this critical mission. The letter he received was a call to arms, a plea for his expertise and bravery. He was a man of unwavering loyalty and unmatched tactical brilliance. His years of service had honed his skills and instincts, making him a force to be reckoned with. The Admiral's mind was already racing with strategies and plans to counter the pirate threat. Forced into retirement, he had longed for the sea. The call of the ocean was a constant presence in his thoughts, a reminder of the life he had once led. Now the opportunity to return to the waters he loved was within his grasp. Now the call to duty echoed louder than ever. The urgency of the situation reignited the fire within him, and he knew he had to answer. The preparations for the mission were swift and thorough, with every detail meticulously planned.
I accepted without hesitation. The gravity of the task ahead was clear, but so was my resolve. This was a chance to prove my worth once more, to show that my skills had not waned with time. I was given command of a squadron of the Royal Navy's finest ships, each vessel manned by seasoned sailors ready to face the dangers ahead. The fleet was a testament to the might and determination of the British Navy. Tasked with restoring order to the Caribbean, The mission was clear: to bring stability to the troubled waters and to put an end to Blackbeard's reign of terror. The route was plotted and the course was set, and bringing Blackbeard to justice. The thought of confronting the legendary pirate filled me with a sense of purpose. This was not just a battle, it was a quest to restore peace and order. This was more than a mission, it was a chance to confront a legend. The journey ahead would be fraught with danger, but the reward was worth the risk. The legend of Blackbeard would be challenged, and the seas would once again be safe for all who sailed them.
The hunt began. The vast expanse of the ocean was both a battlefield and a hiding place, a stage set for a high-stakes game of cat and mouse. Jones, a seasoned strategist, knew chasing Blackbeard directly was futile. The pirate was too cunning, too elusive. Instead, Jones devised a plan that would outsmart even the wiliest of foes. He spread his net wide, patrolling trade routes, protecting merchant vessels, and gathering intelligence from wary islanders. Every piece of information, no matter how small, was a potential clue to Blackbeard's whereabouts. Jones aimed to force Blackbeard into a confrontation, a battle of his choosing. He knew that patience and precision were his greatest allies in this maritime chess game.
Blackbeard, however, relished the game. The thrill of the chase, the danger, the constant dance with death, it was all part of the allure for him. He knew the Caribbean like the back of his hand. Every hidden cove, every treacherous reef, every secret passage was etched in his memory. He used this intimate knowledge to his advantage, launching surprise attacks on isolated outposts, plundering with ruthless efficiency. Then, like a ghost, he would vanish into the labyrinthine network of islands and inlets before the Navy could respond. His ability to disappear was almost supernatural. The first skirmishes were tense, brief clashes, each side testing the other's strength, probing for weaknesses. Blackbeard, always seeking to exploit an advantage, relied on speed and surprise. His swift, unpredictable movements kept the Navy on edge. Jones, patient and calculating, waited for the right moment to strike a decisive blow. He knew that one well-timed move could turn the tide of the entire campaign. Each encounter heightened the tension, pushing us both closer to the inevitable confrontation. The stakes were high, and both sides knew that only one could emerge victorious from this deadly game on the high seas.
The Caribbean, 1718, a haven for trade, a den of sharks. The sun beat down, merciless and unforgiving. Salt spray kissed sun-weathered faces, but the true danger lurked beneath the surface. These were lawless waters, ruled by greed and gunpowder. Amongst these rogues, none were more feared than pirates. They were a scourge upon the seas, preying upon merchant vessels and leaving chaos in their wake. Entire fleets lived and died by the cutlass and the cannon. Their flags, black as sin, sent chills down the spines of even the bravest sailors. The whisper of their names brought fear to port towns and trading posts. Tales of their exploits, exaggerated in taverns and whispered in hushed tones, spread like wildfire. They were the embodiment of freedom and chaos, a constant threat to the established order. But even amongst thieves there exists a hierarchy, a struggle for power. And at the apex of this shadowy world stood a figure of unmatched ruthlessness and cunning, Peter Blackbeard Thorne. Blackbeard. The name itself conjured images of terror and dread on the high seas. A giant of a man, his beard thick and black as a moonless night, adding to his fearsome appearance. They say he braided it with lit fuses, creating a terrifying spectacle that struck fear into the hearts of his enemies. He was a force of nature, a whirlwind of fury and violence, leaving chaos in his wake. His eyes, dark as the abyss, held a chilling glint that could pierce through the bravest of souls. He commanded the Queen Anne's Revenge, a fearsome frigate bristling with cannons, a true terror of the seas. Blackbeard was not born a monster, but circumstance and betrayal had twisted him into something fearsome. Betrayed by those he once trusted, he swore vengeance upon the world, becoming a symbol of retribution. He had tasted freedom and power, and he craved more, always seeking the next conquest. His legend grew with every raid, every ship plundered, and every tale of his exploits. He was a cunning strategist, a ruthless pirate, and a charismatic leader who inspired fear and loyalty. He ruled through fear and respect, demanding absolute loyalty from his crew, and they followed him without question. But Blackbeard's reign of terror could not last forever, as all legends must come to an end. For across the ocean, a storm was brewing, a force as implacable and relentless as the tide itself, destined to challenge him. The British Navy, weary of his depredations, had sent their finest officer to hunt him down, determined to end his reign of terror once and for all.
The task before me is daunting, but I am not a man to be deterred. I have faced many challenges in my life, and this will be no different. I have sworn an oath to protect the crown and its interests, to defend our nation against all threats, both foreign and domestic. I will see Blackbeard brought to justice no matter the cost. His reign of terror on the high seas must come to an end.
Admiral Edward Old Navy Jones was a man of stark contrasts, a figure both revered and feared. A seasoned veteran, his face bore the marks of countless battles etched deep like lines on a map. Each scar was a testament to his bravery and resilience. Yet his eyes shone with an unwavering resolve, a fierce intelligence that belied his age. They were the eyes of a man who had seen much and learned even more. He was the very embodiment of the Royal Navy, disciplined, resolute, and unyielding. His presence commanded respect and inspired loyalty. He had risen through the ranks, from a lowly midshipman to the pinnacle of naval command. His journey was one of perseverance and dedication. Every scar, every wrinkle told a tale of duty and sacrifice. They were the physical manifestations of a life spent in service to his country. He was a master tactician, renowned for his strategic brilliance and unwavering nerve. His plans were meticulous, his execution flawless. He had faced down storms, pirates, and enemy fleets with the same calm demeanor. His courage under fire was legendary. He was a man of honor in a world often lacking it. His integrity was unassailable, his word his bond. He assembled his fleet, the finest ships and sailors the Royal Navy could offer. Each vessel was a testament to the might of the British Empire. The HMS Endeavour, his flagship, was a vessel worthy of his command, a symbol of the might and determination of the British Empire. It was a ship that carried not just cannons and sails, but the hopes and dreams of a nation. The hunt for Blackbeard was a game of cat and mouse. Blackbeard, a phantom of the seas, knew the Caribbean like the back of his hand. He would strike swiftly and vanish into the labyrinthine network of islands and inlets, leaving his pursuers bewildered and frustrated. Old Navy Jones, however, had a different kind of cunning. He studied Blackbeard's movements meticulously, analyzing his patterns and predicting his next move with uncanny accuracy. He deployed his ships strategically, tightening the noose around his elusive prey, always one step closer to capturing the infamous pirate. Blackbeard relied on surprise, speed, and sheer brutality. He would often disguise his ships, appearing as harmless merchants before unleashing a devastating barrage of cannon fire. His crew, motivated by greed and fear, were fiercely loyal and utterly ruthless, willing to follow him into the jaws of death. Old Navy Jones, in contrast, believed in discipline and overwhelming firepower. He drilled his men relentlessly, instilling in them the importance of teamwork, precision, and unwavering resolve. His ships, while fewer in number, were superior in firepower and maneuverability, ready to face any challenge. As the weeks turned into months, the tension grew palpable. Both sides knew the inevitable confrontation was approaching, a clash that would determine the fate of the Caribbean. The balance of power on the high seas hung in the balance, with every sailor's heart pounding in anticipation of the storm to come.